I'm Ron DeLegge with ETF Guide. On today's episode, we're going to talk about 401k red flags and then also some solutions or alternatives to resolving those potential red flags. Joining us is Greg Moerchen with QBOX. Greg, great to see you again.
Oh, hi, Ron. Thanks. Same here.
So let's talk about red flags, things that 401k sponsors, employers should be aware of. And I'll let you, you've got so much experience in this space. You've seen so many things, good and bad, and everything in between. So what are the red flags?
Yeah, first I would talk about service providers for a 401k plan. And these are the firms that are involved to make your 401k functional. So you have a record keeper. That's the company that processes your contributions, provides an employee website. You have a third-party administrator. That's like an umpire in a baseball game. They're making sure that the rules are followed properly. And then you have what's called a custodian, and that is the firm that actually has or holds the assets for the 401k plan trust that's separate from the company. And then, of course, you can have a financial advisor, an administrative fiduciary, investment fiduciary on top of that. But a good practice is to have checks and balances in place. By that, I mean it's common to have a record keeper and a third-party administrator as the same firm, but if they're also the custodian, then things can get a little muddy. Again, it's just a good practice for a plan to have, again, people looking over each one's shoulder to make sure that the rules are being properly followed and, participants are experiencing what they should.
And have there been cases where you've had one firm that is acting in multiple roles so that the third-party administrator, they're the record keeper, they're also the custodian and the advisor? Is that common?
Yeah, it's not best practice. I'll put it that way. Yes, there are situations where I've seen that through the years. I think the most egregious has been, this was years and years ago, where an advisor was the custodian of the assets, and they used those funds. They diverted those funds to buy personal assets for them. They eventually got caught, but that process can take such a long time. And again, that's one of the reasons why to have separate companies to do separate things within a 401k plan, even though it is in a trust separate from the corporate assets. It's still just a best practice to have folks involved that do very specific things for your 401k plan.
Yeah. So anyone out there with a 401k plan like this that we're describing maybe isn't following best practice, obviously that's a red flag. But then let's talk about the solution or some possible alternatives. ETFK Retire. We've been working together on this. Of course, ETFs inside 401k plans. How is ETFK Retire different from what we just described?
I think it gets back to, once a plan is set up, then one of the things that we do for an annual review for the advisors we're working with and also the plan sponsors is that we have you've got a lot of legalese with the 401k plan. So we've made it really simple. We have a sheet of paper that describes, who's the record keeper, who's the third party administrator, who's the custodian, the advisors, and so on, and also whether or not they're a fiduciary in the plan. That makes it really simple right there. You're 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then what your duty is. The other is that we do have separations involved. We have RPG Consultants, that's the record keeper and the third-party administrator. We use American Trust or Mid-Atlantic Trust Company as the custodian. My firm is the investment manager or investment fiduciary, and then we have a full suite of investments or exchange-traded funds that are offered in the plan that represent all the major asset classes, including buffered products. So we've got a really nice balance, between the different service providers. We've all worked together for a very long time, and each one has their own specific set of duties, so that things come up from time to time where maybe a payroll contribution wasn't made on time, or there was a mistake made. Maybe they're trying to do, integrate payroll with, the 401k plan. And those things happen from time to time. And by having things separated, you can easily identify where the problem, or hopefully you can identify it pretty quickly and easily what the problem is, and then how do you fix it.
Yeah, I like the idea of those checks and balances inside a 401k plan when you've got a best-in-class solution, as we have with ETFK Retire, with shared responsibilities, is what you're describing. It keeps things, it's sort of preventative.
Well, the other thing too is that each firm in here has their own fee structure. So that way things aren't buried, not buried is the wrong word, but everything's disclosed, but sometimes it can be very difficult to discern what the costs are in a 401k plan. By having, again, each person is going to have what their fees, it's listed on a fee disclosure statement, but you can easily figure out, what my fee is, what the custodian fee is, what the record keeper fee is, and then use that for a comparison or for a benchmark versus other plans of similar size. It just makes it a lot simpler that way. And the way we've got ETFK Retire structured, we're using exchange traded funds. So the only cost we have there is the operating expense of the security. There's nothing else tied into it. There's no front-end, back-end charge. There's no gotchas. What I call is a portable investment lineup. So that means that, if a plan wanted to, they could move, to another provider. And if that provider allows exchange traded funds, they could move everything right over to them. It's not like they're going to be locked in place because they have securities that have, hidden gotchas within the contract.
Makes sense. Well, Greg, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us and sharing your insights on best-in-class 401k practices. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. Bye.
Well, be sure to visit etfk.com to get your 401k plan ETF'd. And if you've got an existing 401k plan that you would like to migrate to an all ETF solution, of course, etfk.com is where you get started to get that process going. And then, of course, if you're a startup plan and looking to just start a brand new 401k plan and you want to include ETFs on the menu, again, etfk.com is where you go to get started. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode. I'm Ron DeLegge with ETF Guide.